Good morning and welcome to Mirador Television. Today we're going to be looking through the front headlines of all the papers, and all the papers are the same today, sure, aren't they? They are all about this one story, terrible story. So we'll go straight into the first headline, which is a sad one. They're all sad.
Well,
so the headline here from the Sun is "Gunned down at bedtime and left to die." So this girl, Olivia, she was 9 years old and she was shot in her own home. They say it was a botched gang attack. And yeah, she got shot and she was an innocent 9-year-old girl. This is an unbelievably tragic story. This took place in Liverpool, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, have you heard any information about this?
No. Well, obviously, the newspapers, but it has a history of this kind of thing. Many, many years ago, a young boy was molested by two much older teenagers, and I think they might have killed him, but I wouldn't be sure. The boy was called something Summers, and the two guys were in jail. Then they weren't out of jail. But you've got to Liverpool, despite the Beatles and all that kind of thing, there's a dockland area. They're very, very rough and tough places around, for this kind of thing. But all that said, this is beyond belief, isn't it? That to actually kill a 9-year-old girl with a bunch of, crooks and awful. It should be drawn and quartered, my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's. I mean, I would have thought now. Well, this question of police sort of, or knife crime and all kind, it seems to be rampant everywhere now. This Lewis, which is pretty docile, is now apparently got loads of life crime. I've not witnessed any of it, but it's maybe, I don't know, is it that the police are not paid enough to actually get more of them, or what is the reason, or to actually have a particular gang busting unit? It's weird. Maybe there is not enough police. Maybe they're not as well trained as they should be.
All those are issues. There aren't enough police. No one wants to be a police officer anymore because it's a terrible job. The media hates them. They endlessly complain about them, which makes no one want to go into them. And these institutions get even worse. And yes, it's a lack of funding as well, lack of police officers, lack of training. They also, for a brief time in London, got rid of stop and search.
Yeah.
They got rid of it for about a year. And what would you guess when they got rid of stop and search? But knife crime went way up. And then they brought back stop and search and knife crime went way down. I mean, they got rid of stop and search in the first place because it was racist.
There was a great outburst about it, against it. There were demonstrating against Muslims and the black people. And
discriminating.
There is part of it, isn't it, really?
Well, the complaint was from people that stop and search was disproportionately affecting or being
groups.
Stopped.
Groups,
They were stopping more black people and ethnic groups than white people, which people were saying were racist, and then they got rid of it because it was racist, and then knife crime went way up. So that was not the best policy to get rid of it. And then Sadiq Khan got rid of it, and then Sadiq Khan brought it back after about a year of not having it. What else? From the Metro here. Tell us who killed Olivia. So there haven't been any statements by the police about who killed her. We don't know any names yet. We just know it was a botched gang attack. She was shot in her bed, which is ridiculous. I just can't fathom how evil of a person you have to be to do such a thing. The incident you were talking about earlier, was that when the two boys took the 3 or 4-year-old boy to the train tracks?
I think he was slightly older than that. I think he was about 10 or 11. but he was a kid, and he was absolutely a kid, and they were bigger boys. I mean, it's weird that's how some people get their kicks in my estimation, but you know, down the Liverpool docks, even to this day, it's a pretty rough area. New Scotland Road, for very poor people, and
Do you know Liverpool well?
pretty well, yeah. I've been up there several times, and one of my very dear friends lives in a nearby town. Yeah, I've been there quite a lot of times. But you see, it's all overshadowed by the enormous success of the Beatles. Everybody feels that it's a sort of cultural hotspot now. They don't realise that any port town is going to suffer from amazing drugs, and particular drugs. I mean, look at Hastings, for example. Apparently, the old fishing village there is an absolute, is where all the drugs come in for Lewis and possibly even Brighton. And that's the home. But if you've got a place like Liverpool docks or Swansea docks, for example, then you've got a little trouble in controlling it all. As the reasons you said, I mean, the police, no one wants to be a policeman anymore. It's not like Dixon of Dock Green anymore, is it?
Yeah.
Evening all.
Well, I
would like to see people on the streets here in Lewis, actually. After the pubs turn out, there can some nasty things go on.
I'm sure there are. I did see something quite strange in Lewis High Street on Monday. Now, I don't think the guy was dead, but he sure did look like it. Two homeless people were pushing a guy in a mobility scooter up the high street, and he looked to be dead. I don't think he was, but he certainly wasn't moving. It was very odd, to say the least. I've not seen anything like it. We have a comment here from Mickey Connors. Police are Freemasons. I've heard the word Freemasons before, but I don't know what it means.
It's a little club of people who do things, and they, I think,
a club of people who do things.
The Freemasons are little groupings of businessmen or so forth and so on, and they have very weird rituals that nobody can quite answer.
Oh, so like Bohemian Grove, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure about that, Police of Freemasons, but that's interesting. I don't know much about Freemasons, to be honest, to really go into it. But we have here from the Daily Express, once again, the same similar headline. Just a child, innocent victim of gun wars. So again, this is the same story. All but two of the headlines are the same. It's a very depressing morning for the headlines. From the Independent, youngest victim of gangland killings. That's interesting. I didn't know she was the youngest.
Well, you don't normally hear gangs killing little kids.
No, you don't. Because usually gangs leave regular people alone, apart from muggings. They don't usually kill regular people like you and me minding our own business. They usually go after other gangs or gang members or... Yeah. I mean, to kill someone... not only to kill someone, but a 9-year-old girl in her bed.
Mm-hmm.
When the person, their name and photo is going to be released, it's going to be, they're going to be dragged through the media an incredible amount, and it's going to be a witch hunt to get them, and so it should be. From the Daily Mirror, horror in the streets, 9-year-old girl shot in her own home, unbearable. From the Mirror. From the Daily Mail, picture of innocent girl to shame lawless Britain, and it has a picture of the girl. We have the Daily Mail here. I'll show you what she looks like. So that was the girl that was shot in her own home. 9-year-old girl. From the Telegraph. Oh, they have a different headline. EU fears what does it say? Sorry, EU
Fears.
feared to be
the
losing
will
back.
to come to back Ukraine, to be losing the will to.
Oh,
back,
okay, I see.
To will to back Ukraine.
Okay, well, we got two probably dyslexic people trying to read the headlines.
Oh, I am certainly not dyslexic.
Well, yeah, no, but you don't read very well.
You're joking.
What was that? I'm sorry, but
The fact of the matter is, listen, matey, look, from where I sit, the print is so small, it's very, very difficult to read. Read, I'm a writer, for God's sake. I've been reading all my life.
Yeah.
Bloody bonkers. Limp. Ugh.
We have another comment here from Mickey Connors. It says, how many people got shot in the house? That is a good question. It doesn't say. It only says that. It says that. Yeah, no. All it says that she was the only one that got shot. It seems. Yeah, she was the only one who was killed, for certain. I'm not sure if she was the only one who got shot. I read more people got shot in the house. Potentially, yeah. I'm not sure. I'm trying to. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question for you. I don't know the answer, but I would assume multiple people get shot. Media says 3 people were shot, but these stories have been removed from social media. Really? That's unusual. Well, not unusual, you know what I mean? But that's certainly strange. I don't know why they would have removed that. So, moving on to the other headlines. We got the headline.
Do not insult me again, Max, otherwise you're out through the bloody door. Okay?
Okay.
Most people heard that.
Good, well, I'm sure they did.
Good.
So we got headline from the Financial Times here. Do you want to read that? So that's your.
I read the beginning of it. It's absolutely ridiculous.
What is it?
Right, he says for shielding family bills, right? The guy who actually is chief executive, I think it's Scottish Power, yeah? Kevin, I was just reading about him somewhere else. Keith Anderson, yes, chief executive of Scottish Power, says that one of the big 6, well, it's not the big 6 anymore for starters, it's big 5. SSE has become an environmental one. Secondly, he gets a salary of more than £1 million, right? And he says that all the companies should not would set up a fund for, or they cap the thing at £2,000. He's a total hypocrite, and he's like all the big 6 pay themselves unconscionable salaries. Some of them get £2 million a year, while there's social poverty. There's fuel poverty going on. So don't say that he's part of a cartel. It makes my blood boil. The whole thing does.
When's the next energy cap? October?
Well, it's supposed to be on October, but they decided to put it up this Friday coming.
This Friday?
Yeah, right.
Oh, next Friday.
And then,
Okay.
do you know what else they've done?
What?
They put the energy cap every 3 months rather than every 6 months now. And that means that they're also going to go up every 3 months because they're determined that as the gas keeps going up, their excuse is as the gas keeps, we should do this in Energy Matters, as the gas price keeps going up, then these companies make bigger profits, right?
Mm.
But none of this profit is used to invest in better home installations or to actually alleviate the problems with the poor. This goes into fat cat salaries. 2 things. The National Grid boss has been given a £6 million bonus on top of his salary. All of them are over salaries of over, and even the regulator, Jonathan Brearley, you know how much he gets, a government employee?
Government employee.
Yeah, £310,000.
Isn't that
for being incompetent?
Isn't that only like 30,000 less than the Prime Minister, because Prime Minister is, I think,
Well, whatever the Prime Minister's earning,
350.
that's a ridiculous salary for someone of that rank.
Yeah, that is.
And it goes on and on. You know, they sort of another little thing, right? Greg Clark said, "We've got to get to that. Half our gas comes from the North Sea." I nearly fell over. I've been telling it to people for years that 40% of our gas comes from Norway, about 35,000 comes from LNG from Qatar, natural gas, and 6% comes from Russia. So that at least about 20%. So
and who was it that said that? Who?
Greg Clark.
Greg Clark said over half of our gas comes from
the North Sea.
The North Sea.
Yeah. He's a government minister. Can you believe it?
You know what? I actually can. That the government ministers are incompetent and don't know anything. I certainly can believe that. Sure.
You have to say, in my opinion, otherwise you'll get done for libel. In your opinion.
Oh, in my opinion. Well, no, because I can believe that they're incompetent.
Yeah,
that's yeah. So another comment here from Mickey Connors. The UN is a global crime syndicate. I certainly agree with that. Do you?
No, absolutely not. That's ridiculous. No. Mickey Connors is ridiculous in my opinion, but anyway.
I think Mickey Connors, he's got some very good comments a lot of the time.
But that's in your beliefs, I think, and that really does actually put them out of court as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, carry on.
Well, we have an energy expert here, Mickey, so I'll ask this. Mickey Connors says again, the problem is that the government sells our North Sea gas to the Yankees.
What?
Sells North Sea gas to America.
So he hasn't got the gas to sell for starters. Look, I tell you what, when fracking was alive, okay?
Yeah.
They decided that they didn't need the LNG from Europe, from the Middle East rather, okay? So Qatar started selling it elsewhere. But, it wasn't, our gas sold to America is impossible to believe. That's crazy. It can't have happened. There hasn't got that much gas. And do you understand, the North Sea has run down to a very low amount of gas and onshore gas. I know, I was in the business. I was a non-executive director of 3 oil companies, oil and gas companies. I know what they get up to, but one of them is not selling. First of all, you've got to get it across. That's incredibly expensive. The Americans are not stupid. Why would they want gas? They got under their fracking. They got any amount of gas. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Do you know the difference between fracking here and in America?
No.
It's a question of title.
What do you mean?
In America, the people who owns the top of the land, like a farmer, also owns the underneath.
Okay.
Here, the Queen owns the land, top of the land, and the underneath. Right? So they own the underneath. So if you've got things like that, it's not the Queen that owns it, it's the local councils. And they're not going to allow bloody great trucks drive through their beautiful countryside. They're not going to allow fracking to take place, quite frankly. And that's the situation today. Simply, there's a question of title involved, you see? I
remember a couple of years ago, there was fracking going on not too far from my house, actually, probably just a couple miles down the road.
What's that? Balcombe.
Yeah, in Balcombe, actually. Yeah.
No, the Balcombe was naturally fracked. It was already fracked. They didn't have to drill for it. And secondly, Caroline Lucas came out there and she said, "Oh, no gas here, no gas here." And I said, "Well, actually, it's an oil well, Caroline. It's very different oil to gas in terms of fracking." And honestly and truthfully, you didn't prepare people fracking for gas and oil there. First of all, there wasn't any gas. And secondly, the oil things was originally fracked already.
Well, why would they frack there again?
Because they're not allowed to.
Oh, no, why? Oh, okay. Okay. I'm a little bit confused, but okay.
Well, I can faint with this. We are expecting gas to, but man, don't be bonkers. That's like a truth like, something like idea. God, yeah. Oh my God.
The from the Times, the Red Arrows engulfed by bullying and assault row. What is this talking about? This is some. I can't be. This is some nonsense from the Times. I have no idea what's going on there. I have to look into that. Don't have enough time to read it all out. The last one here from the Daily Star, they have something different to talk about. The Daily Star, I don't particularly like the Daily Star, but they always have ridiculous headlines such as today. The Daily Star today says, regular sex boosts your health as much as giving up booze and smoking, says doctors. Not sure if that's true, but I don't know.
What does it say?
For the Daily... Okay, I'll read it again. The Daily Star headline says, regular sex boosts your health as much as giving up booze and cigarettes, says doctors.
Oh, well, I can quite believe that's true, yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Okay, I am.
Okay.
I am to know. I hope my wife's not watching this.
Yes. Okay. Well, we'll go to a short 2-minute break. We'll go to a garden park whilst we sort out the two papers we have here, and then we'll look from behind the headlines. So we'll go for a 2-minute break. Scenes in Sussex.
And you get something like,
Oh, I'm sorry, we're back.
What?
Hang on.
Right.
All right. Do you want to start again
Right.
from the
There
story?
was some suggestion that the energy bills will come to £6,000 per annum. Okay,
So the energy bills come to what?
£6,000, right?
£6,000 a year.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So divide 6,000 by 12, right?
Yeah.
What do you get?
That's £500 a month.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that is, I would say that's fuel poverty in a great thing.
They're
£500 for
they're
four
expecting
person.
it to go to £500 a month.
That's what this Cornwall analyst said.
Are they sure about that? Because that
Well, you'll have to ask them. It
sounds
sounds unlikely to me.
It does sound unlikely, but you know,
Look.
give it a year and
What should be done? What do they say there?
what should be done to limit the fallout from the energy bill explosion.
Right.
What should be done?
Take all the CEOs of the big 5 companies, take them out and shoot them. That is my.
Okay. Well, you know what? Speaking of what can be done, you know how petrol prices are extortionate right now.
Yeah.
They're getting around £2 in some places. Went to Cornwall recently, last week, and we passed quite a few petrol stations that were over £2. So with the prices right now, do you know how much of that is tax?
Oh, it's very high. I would have thought at least
83p in
it's
every
tax.
litre is
It's tax.
tax.
Yeah.
If the government just got
Yeah.
rid of some of that tax,
Yeah.
we could cut fuel prices by a huge amount for people. But
But
the government would
that's-
never cut taxes.
That's always been the case. That's
Yeah.
always been the case. That they tax these things very high. BP's tax now it's quite high. And,
What is
BP and Shell?
BP tax?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they can afford it. They make so much money.
Oh yeah, bin men are on strike and rubbish is piling up. Residents told to keep your rubbish inside. That's ridiculous. But we do have a photo here of bins overflowing in Edinburgh a couple months ago, probably about 3 or 4 months ago now. The bin men in Brighton went on strike, and I remember seeing that. Literally, the rubbish was overflowing into the streets. I had to walk.
Yeah, I must make the point that there's a Green Council in Brighton who seem to be absolutely competent about everything, whether it's rubbish or it's very tatty now, Brighton, isn't it?
Brighton is a green
Certainly,
council, but it's not a very green place.
It's not very well managed. That's
It's
the reason.
not. No.
No. It used to be it used to be run by the Reds, isn't it? The communists, as you like to call them.
Yeah.
Or the Labour Party.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brighton it's really turning into
Well, you
just
get
not
these
a nice place to live.
These coke accidents, where people are walking along the street and some coke head he's had a knife or something like that. It's quite awful.
I had a cokehead come up to me this morning and was obviously on crack or something, and was just demanding to give him a cigarette. I'm like, I don't smoke. He's like, can I have a cigarette? I'm like, I don't smoke. This was like this morning. This was 2 hours ago. Yeah.
Where was that?
In Brighton.
Oh, really? Yeah. Right.
Good. It's getting more and more often as well, and they always target the younger people or the very old people because they are the most susceptible and easy to mug. That is me and you, yeah. That is. But when was the last time you went to Brighton?
About a couple of weeks ago.
How did you find it?
Overrun.
Overrun.
That's my
very crowded.
I used to love. I was as at Sussex University. I used to love Brighton. It was a marvellous town. It was a marvellous town, but now it's rather overpopulated with the wrong kind of people. Very sad, actually. Very sad.
Yeah.
I go there. Well, I had to go there to sort out my account for Barclays Bank, but also like my family, my step family, they're heavily involved in music in Brighton and so on. So we're going to see them. And I've got friends in Brighton from the Sussex University days who I like to see. But it is terribly overrun. You come down from the pavement on the station, you have to walk in the road. So many bloody people coming at you. It's really weird. It's very sad.
I used to go to college in Brighton, and that was always such a pain.
Really? Why was it?
It was just
a private college.
Huh?
Private college.
No, it wasn't a private college. No. It was just always Brighton, even when it's not a nice day, even when it's like rainy or something, like it's always overcrowded no matter what.
Actually,
Brighton's about 500,000 people now, population-wise.
250,000?
No.
500,000?
500,000.
Yeah, that's about right, yeah.
And it's not a big area, really.
Well,
it's just a lot of flats.
Well, do you remember the story when the Brighton Council was called the capital of a red capital, basically. Now, when it became a city, it never had any money, the Brighton Council, right? It was always short of money. And when they put it together with Hove, the people were up to make it a city. The people of Hove were absolutely livid because they were in the black. They had the money, so their money had to go towards this terrible communist regime. It was ridiculous.
The terrible communist regime of Brighton.
Well, they are, aren't they? They were. They weren't communists, obviously. They were in communism too. Yeah. No, what was I don't know what it was called. The Independent Republic of Brighton, it was called.
The Independent Republic of Brighton.
Oh, look, I'm sure that's grabbed your interest.
What
Archie's room during my role. Oh, poor old Megan. Oh, yeah.
God, I don't know a single person who likes Meghan Markle.
Really?
I don't know a single person.
I think I like her.
What? Why?
Because she's going against the rain. She's making the Queen look daft.
She's making herself look daft. What do you mean making the Queen look daft?
What do you mean? Of course she has. Of course she is.
In what way has she made the Queen look daft?
Well, she's made it the fact that the royal family doesn't say, oh, you know, control all. I mean,
We already knew that.
She was stupid to actually marry into the royals because it's a big ask. And, you know, Kate had lots of years of training, really. But, you know, Meghan didn't. Going into the royal family is a real ask because it's not much of a life once you're inside.
No, well, she can cry herself to the bank.
Yeah, quite. Yeah.
But the Duchess Spotify podcast promised to explore sexist double standards. But it may bleed money. What? Okay. I'm not sure what that says. The podcast that she had on Spotify, they've only done like 3 episodes over the last year. It's ridiculous. They've done nothing. They do nothing with their time. And do they still get money for being a royal family?
I don't think they do. Well, I think the Queen might have given them a hand out, so we didn't know about, but I wouldn't have thought they.
Because Andrew doesn't get anything from the taxpayer anymore.
He doesn't deserve any, does it?
No.
Well, I think they've still got that house in Windsor, haven't they? Which is worth a few. But apparently, such as the Cambridges are moving into Windsor now. And they're sending their kids not to Eton, would you believe?
They're not?
No, like I said, it was on the news.
What they're doing? Homeschooling?
No, they're not. They're going to local schools, but I think they're private ones. But they're local. They're not sending their kids to Eton or Harrow or the big public schools. They want to be at a school where they can be near to. I understand. That's one of these posh schools in Windsor.
Mm.
You know?
Well, they live in California.
Oh, I thought I'm talking about the Duchess.
Oh.
Duchess about Kate.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right. We had another comment here from Mickey Connors. It says the gunman accidentally shot the kid while firing at his target. I can certainly believe that. I would hate to find that. It would be the most unbelievably evil thing you could do to shoot a child in their bed on purpose whilst they're sleeping.
The gangsters are unbelievably awful.
Yeah, they are, but
that's what they do, don't they?
Some have got to have a limit somewhere. Even horribly evil people tend to have a limit. But the gunman accidentally shot the kid while firing at his target. From Mickey Connors, he said that. So it might be true. I'm not sure. I hope it's true because that's the less worse. And whatever the situation was, it was bad. A 9-year-old girl died. What other stories? Oil protesters block roads again, but they dig tunnels. So we have a story here. This is from the Daily Mail. Dozens of environmental activists caused chaos yesterday by blocking the roads and digging tunnels near oil plants. Around 30 people disrupted the morning rush hour morning. Jesus Christ, I can't read. In Essex. Okay, so they dug tunnels near an oil factory, an oil refinery.
I don't think there's one in Essex.
Gluing themselves to roads as well.
Hmm.
Well, how do you feel about the people gluing themselves to roads? Because I certainly think they're stupid.
Well, I don't know about stupid. I mean, they've got beliefs, and that's how they feel they can express one. But like, if you take Extinction Rebellion, for example, they did a very good job in bringing people's attention to real problems of climate change. But when it came to actually what to do about it, they didn't have a bloody clue. They didn't know about renewable energy, or they didn't know this, that, and the other. And then they started rebelling against the very people who could have helped them out. Do you remember this, when the people were being pulled off the top of a train?
Yeah,
and the bloke says, I just want to get to work. I'm not bothered about climate change. I just want to get to work. And they pulled him off. And the same thing, they boycotted media, press people. That's the worst thing they could probably do. I mean, what is it called? Rebellion RX, is it called? Protesters of Rebellion
Extinction Rebellion.
Extinction Rebellion. Why are they actually shooting themselves in the foot by actually doing these things, which are going to go completely against their idea?
Yeah, whenever I see Extinction Rebellion protesters, I just roll my eyes. Like, they were in Brighton a couple of weeks ago. I was out having just fish and chips with a friend, and a bunch of Extinction Rebellion protesters come by, not even saying anything, just banging their drums, quite literally. They all had drums, like the big ones that you have around your neck that rest on your chest, and they were just banging the drums, and it was such an inconvenience. They do shoot themselves in the foot at every opportunity they get.
Well, there is a slight element of a rent-a-mob, if there's something to
rent-a-mob, I like that.
Yeah, right. There are the people who protest anything they can protest about,
Yeah.
So they come to one place, they're all out. We need to protest over there, and we need to protest up there. So that's one thing. They have got regular protesters who do it for a living, I suppose. I don't know. But then again, the whole question of people being out to protest, yes, of course they must. Civil, unviolent protesting is one of our rights of a democracy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what we should.
And they're very rarely violent as well, which I do respect that. That they are not violent.
Not usually, no.
No, it's very rare that they are violent. I can respect that. Have you found anything in the Financial Times? Any interesting stories?
Well, that story on the front is probably keep you going for a day, isn't it?
Well, yeah, we'll keep you going for a day.
Why are these people allowed to pay themselves such huge salaries?
Because they're the CEOs. They can do whatever they want.
Look, I believe in capitalism, but this is the excesses of capitalism, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the regulators should have done something about it, right? For example, small firms. Look at that mail story there, right? I went into the Elephant and Castle and I said, I talked about this. They know I talk about that. She said, we don't get it because we're a business. Although we live on top of the shop, right? We're not getting it. And I think that's really, they've got to include now businesses into the relief projects. They really do. Because pubs are losing their staff, they're losing their businesses, and they just need some support. I mean, she lives on top of the pop, right? Pub.
Yeah.
Don't you think she deserves some relief? She actually lives there. And they say, no, you can't have it because you are a business. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, no, I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't make sense why they're doing it. Another shop that's struggling at the moment is Iceland, the supermarket.
Oh, right.
Because they have all the freezers in their stores, and it's taking up so much so much energy, and it's costing them a fortune, and they're talking about potentially closing branches because of it. There's a story there. Ukrainian refugees face threat of homelessness. That's interesting.
What, in Ukraine or elsewhere? Or
Here, as it seems. I don't know. What does it say? I don't know. What does it say?
maybe they face threat of homelessness. I don't know what that means.
It means
I know they haven't got a home. Yeah, I know.
yes. It
Oh,
means
we're
they don't
talking
have
about
a home.
unlikely. Oh, that's interesting. The war dragging on, and many volunteer hosts are likely to extend their welcome beyond 6 months. Well, people ought to ask them. I mean, it's what are they doing? You know, putting wrong things down the loo or something, or actually stripping down the wallpaper. And I don't know what's going on. Do you? Have you heard anything to that effect?
No. I do have a story from.
Oh, my FG colleague William Wallace, who lives here.
Yeah.
He's written this piece, and he must be going around. I could phone him up and find out why.
It could be interesting. Yeah. Have a story here from the Express. Boilers will fail, in quotation marks. Boilers will fail. Log burners to stop you from freezing during the winter blackouts.
What do you mean they will fail? What does that
Boilers
mean?
will fail.
Who says
I'm
that?
not sure. Well, during the Express says this.
Which kind of boiler we're talking about?
Just boilers inside your house. These
Well,
ones.
they're gas boilers.
Yeah.
Right. But why will they fail?
I don't know.
Well,
I'm going to read the rest of the article.
Right.
Where are you off to again?
I'm standing up.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
I'm standing up to get my phone so I can do what I said.
I'm not sure if you were here yesterday.
No.
Briefly, but we had an article yesterday that said smart meters could make you susceptible to burglaries. Did you see this?
No.
Smart meters could make you susceptible to burglaries because they can hack into the smart meters. The burglars can and tell if you're not home, potentially.
Oh, yeah, but that's the same as people making cold calls.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
people
interesting.
Make cold calls to actually get to find out whether you're there or not.
All right.
There's nothing you can do about that.
I just don't answer the phone. So.
Yeah. Well, nor do I. Well, I do answer the phone. And I say, this is the Lewes police station. And he goes, ah! No, I wonder if we're willing to.
All right.
What do I do with my phone now?
No, we'll do that another time. Maybe for tomorrow or Friday.
Just wait now. I've got my phone.
All right. I think we're going to go to a short break. Just go to the video files.
Let me just quickly try this. Okay, next.
Okay. We're going to go to this 2-minute video. I'm not sure what it is. I think this is a new Scenes in Sussex, potentially. So we'll play this and we'll have a look at this.
Now, you think that I disappear, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm watching very carefully what you two are getting up to, you cheeky monkeys, you. And I noticed that you were talking about small firms being crushed by big energy bills and so on and so forth. But the fact of the matter is that this government does not understand small business. It's got a minister who goes down to the subsidised bars and the subsidised meals and tears around the country in first-class trains. Does he do anything about small business? No. And during lockdown, it was absolutely disgraceful the way they treated small business. Now, I've got a message for this government. Good morning. I was watching and you got me all excited. I've just taken 5 minutes to get a rant going. You can come and sit down here if you like, because you can fight with me.
No.
Right. Now, is 90% of the British economy is made up of SMEs, small to medium enterprise. And who do you pay attention to? The big firms, which, as Stuart and Max have said, are crushing the high street, are making it difficult for small businesses. Do you do anything? No, you do not do anything. And it's about time that you came to grips with reality. It's not only in Britain. 80% of the economy in the EU is made up of small to medium-sized enterprises. And what do they do about it? Nothing. You are all in thrall to big banks, big business. The bigger, the more you actually bow down and you try to do what you think is right. It's about time that you actually realize that small business is the heart, still the heart of this country. And yet out there, as they pointed out, as the two chaps have just pointed out, all sorts of shops are closing, all sorts of businesses are closing down. Small business is collapsing. And then you whine and you moan about the economy going south. Well, what do you expect with the policies that you actually follow? The economy is going to go south as long as you ignore small business. You're going to have to and actually, I will say this, Truss has said one thing, if only she'll do it, and that is cut the red tape. I spend more time on red tape than I do broadcasting. And even then, I don't even finish it. So get with it, government. Get with it, because you're peeing me off, really peeing me off.
Well,
right?
Another thing you've complained about recently is the younger generation being too impatient, me included. Like, we get things, if it's not instant, it's not worth it. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's one of the big issues with these high street stores. Everyone's so used to Amazon now, at my age. Everyone's so used to Amazon's. Everyone's so used to eBay. The going out to the shops physically in the high street seems like a waste of time to most people in my generation.
Yes, but you younger generation are going to have to learn.
Yes.
You have ordered something for us here from Amazon. How many times have they sent the wrong thing?
A few.
Right.
Yeah.
You go to a shop and you talk to somebody and they actually discuss it with you and they give you the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the sort of stuff you've got to get used to. Is your system just ain't working, mate. And youngsters, I mean, as you said, you included, are very
impatient.
Right. Okay, I've had my rant. Now you can get on with Energy Matters. Where's he gone?
No, you caught me off my stroke, I'm afraid.
Well, you got to do Energy Matters this morning. It's in the schedule.
So we got a comment here from Mickey Connors, a very interesting one. I've also got I've got a supply of bottled water because the taps won't get pumped when the grid goes down. What do you think about that? When the grid goes down during blackouts, the taps won't get pumped. Mickey has a big supply of water, so he can actually have the water because obviously there won't be anything pumping from the taps.
Yeah, well, there will probably be people who do that.
That's a very good idea. We are doing the same thing in my house because we had a couple of weeks ago an 8-hour power cut and we couldn't get anything from the taps, couldn't have a shower, couldn't flush the toilet, couldn't do anything. It was a real pain. So we're doing the same thing as well now. So that's a very good idea, and I'd recommend everyone to do that. You all right there, Stuart?
Not really.
Okay. So yeah, that was Mickey's
I
comment.
can't even go to the loo and YouTube better go over the top. Oh dear.
Mickey also says the agenda is to shut down
Oh.
the high street
Shutting down.
and have people ordering online from companies that use AI robots to gather
Max,
to
have you ever heard
gather
of
the delivery.
Has this man ever heard of the death of the High Street?
Yes.
Lewis High Street is more or less dead.
Yeah.
There are empty shops all
And he's
along.
saying it's
Right,
an
right.
agenda. Yeah.
Right. So what is he talking about? Small businesses, small shops. It's due to business tax. It's not due to anything else.
Well, no, it's due to
Look,
no.
look, and also there's a main road there. If you go down to Cliff High Street, it's absolutely flourishing with small businesses, artisan shops. Really and truthfully, it is. People are shopping there.
I think it is also mostly due to online companies. It's so convenient.
Well,
I think.
Yes, it is. But there
So
are
yeah, so it's not just the business tax,
No.
although that is a
Yeah.
massive problem as well.
Of course, it's a problem. Yeah, sure. But I mean, that doesn't mean that people can't go to shops. I mean, we do lots of shopping in Four Seasons, for example, which is right down the cliff, and that's a hippy dippy Four Seasons, and we go to other places like that.
The high street is sort of also having to rely on older people from older generations as well. Once my generation starts getting to like 30, 40 years old, there will be truly no one going to the high street.
Yeah, if they're lucky.
I'm going to come in here because I'm listening. Go and get the statistics for this part of the Lewis district, right?
Right.
I don't think the district council is capable of producing those kind of things.
Well,
Probably.
They're not capable about anything, right?
Well, okay, but whatever statistics are, whether you listen to them or not, is the statistics say that 60% of people are now over 40, and that the trend in East Sussex is towards older people.
Yeah.
Younger people aren't coming into it. We're too rural, actually.
Mate, look, they're not coming here because they haven't got mortgages. But
Well, all right, whichever reason.
Secondly,
But the people who are selling stuff have got to. I mean, Max is on about young people and so on and so forth. Well, why pay attention to young people if they are not the majority of the customer base?
Well,
I just do not understand this argument.
That's the thing.
at all.
That we're going to be the future customer base.
No, you're not. You're going to be killed off by climate change.
No, we're not going to be
Yes, you
killed
are,
off by
you
climate
are,
change.
you
Give
are.
over with that nonsense.
You are. Your children will be.
No, that's a load of nonsense. Honestly,
You really?
yes.
You think that it's common knowledge that everybody seems to feel that my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, will be wiped out by COVID. That's what Mr. Matthew Bird thinks, anyway. If he thinks at all, but I mean, that's.
We're not going to die from
I
climate
think,
change.
look,
It'll-
climate change is an existential threat, and people have not taken it seriously enough, because all these targets cannot be met.
All these targets are complete and a load of rubbish. Okay,
No, they're not.
you can look back at articles from the New York.
Look, Max, is one of the things that your generation does, and you get so impatient, is everything is rubbish. Now, I challenged you one day because you made a statement, and I said, "What was your source of information?" You didn't have any, except it was your opinion. Now, the important thing for this sort of television is you can have your opinion, but he's got his opinion, and I've got mine. And by the time that we've all actually poured it in, people have got some sort of consensus. So you must be very careful if you say rubbish, because he can say to you rubbish.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't achieve anything from there. There is every evidence
Listen,
that
look,
climate change is a big issue.
I'm not
Right?
saying it's not
Yeah.
real.
Can you go and shout in his ears? I don't want to go deaf.
Well, you just have to put up with me shouting.
You're actually attacking my perilymph, aren't you? My middle ear, my balance, my sense of balance. You just want me to go out here and fall over.
I'm the one without balance. Okay, get on with it, chaps.
I'm not saying climate change isn't real. I'm saying the predictions for in 10 years it's going to be irreversible. That's a load of rubbish. You look back at the New York Times article. You can go back 60 years, and it says in 10 years' time We're all climate change is going to be irreversible.
Can I tell
By
you,
2010, all the ice caps would have melted.
The New York Times has become not a very, very good newspaper, and people don't really take it seriously anymore because they became so partisan against Trump. The only paper in the world which is objective and very, very well done is the Financial Times. It's much more balanced than the New York Times is, and everything it writes is objective. They don't have silly issues that so on and so forth. So you should stop reading the New York Times. It's not good for you.
Don't worry, I'm not reading the New York Times. I'm just saying if you look at the archives, you look at the articles about climate change, you go back 60 years, it always says the next 10 years, the next 12 years. By the year 1990, all the ice caps will be melted. By the year 2000, all the ice caps will be melted. By the year 2010, all the ice caps will be melted. And now it's, by 2050, all the ice caps will be melted. I just don't trust it. They've been wrong every single time.
All right, if you say so. Time will tell.
I don't think we're all going to die from climate change either.
Well, we're not, no. But what about our children and grandchildren?
I think people forget about innovation. People seem to
Well,
forget that innovation exists.
Well, as someone who's been writing about this and about renewable energy for years and years and years, well, you're going to have as I've kept telling you, that because of the lack of investment, there has not been enough investment in renewable energies. I know that for a fact. And that means we're going to have to have a gas bridge. We are going to have to use fossil fuels, which are carbon emitting. Now they say, right, okay, nuclear power is not carbon emitting and therefore is designated as a renewable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's based on, nuclear plants are based on uranium, and uranium is not renewable, is it?
No.
So Hinkley Point and all the nuclear plants are not renewables.
It's not renewable, but it's certainly very efficient.
Yes, it's efficient in terms of actually killing people off as well, you know, and it's very good at that, as I know. And also in terms of supplying electricity and right, yeah?
Right.
Well, let me tell you a little fact. In June 2020, the wind stopped blowing for almost a month.
Yeah.
And you were here, you weren't my friend Bob Davies talking about coal. And when Boris got the coal mines reopened, asked Strax to reopen his coal mines. And then I said, Bob, well, why is it coal? Why not gas? Why not nuclear? And you remember what he said? Because it's there, it's ready to go, it's available.
Yeah.
So it's got to be used. That's what he said. And now, of course, Boris has opened two more coal mines, hasn't he, in the north? Because it's available, you see.
Yeah. Well, Mickey Connors has a couple more comments here. I'm not sure about this one. I'm not too convinced on chemtrails. I did have a good discussion yesterday about chemtrails with someone, but I'm still not too convinced on it. But it says atmosphere chemicals / chemtrails cause more damage to the climate than me farting does. Again, I haven't been convinced by chemtrails. I just don't think it just doesn't make sense.
Does Mickey comment know the difference between a cow's emissions and a person's, you know? The cows have got much more methane than we have when we go to the loo.
Well, that New Zealand did the burp tax, didn't they?
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
The burp tax.
God, if you didn't see that, New Zealand had a tax for burping on animals like cows and sheep. So it was based on it's based on how many times a day on average does a cow or sheep burp. And every time it does, the farmers themselves would get fined a certain amount of money for environmental damage. And this was called the burp tax by the New Zealand government, and it was
well, I have a burping.
It's a terrible policy.
I have a burping problem.
I know you do, yeah. Mickey also says Agenda 21 started this in the 70s. I have heard of Agenda 21, but I don't know much about it, so I'll have to look into that. But I'll write that down and look into Agenda 21. I'm not very familiar. Sorry. Also, Mickey says agenda, all by design, depopulation. Yes, I do agree with that.
Depopulation.
Yeah.
What's he really? It's going to depopulate.
Yeah.
Really? Why? Why?
Depopulation efforts by the World Economic Forum, because you produce so much climate change, you're bad. You are bad for the environment
Why?
because you affect climate change. Do you know that?
Yes.
Therefore, you're bad.
We all affect climate change by being
know.
alive.
I know. It's
What is this?
ridiculous.
Are you as mad as he is? I mean, Christ almighty, what's going on? I feel I'm in a crazy bin. Bloody hell. He comes in and starts ranting. You're bloody making all these silly assumptions. Oh dear, oh dear.
Google also removed lots of...
Depopulation is probably due to people in China only allowed to have one child. But then now they've found that one child thing doesn't work because you're having one child looking after four parents and grandparents, right?
Yeah.
And that means that there's a lot of men who are never going to have a wife or never going to have a woman.
Yeah.
Because the girls were drowned, weren't they? Basically.
Mm.
Yeah. And here, what is depopulation? Have you seen the babies? There's a baby boom in this town.
No, there isn't.
Everywhere you go, you see women, right?
This country has a declining birth rate.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
This country has a declining birth
Yeah.
rate, but a rising population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of immigrants.
Yeah.
Oh, don't you get on that?
No, I'm not going to get on that. No,
I shall wheel you out. There's also an obesity problem in this town, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
Have you noticed?
Yeah, I've noticed.
Depopulation. Oh, God. I thought you meant Mickey kind of wants us to go around and bump off a few people.
There's a few people that could be bumped off, but
It's not yours to judge, is it?
no. Well, we're going to end this show here. We're going to take a 15-minute break, and we will be back at 9:55. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not. Okay, Mickey, I see your comment, but I don't think I can say it because we will get banned immediately. But yes, I have seen things about that. Certainly. I agree with you on that comment, but I can't show it. I'm really sorry. We'll just get banned immediately. So we're going to go for 15 minutes. We'll be back at 9:55. We'll do Energy Matters to start off with, and then we'll go and continue to argue about stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We'll try to find some other stories from behind the headlines. So we'll see you at 9:55 in 15 minutes. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.